August 16, 2020, a day that will forever be etched in the memories of MotoGP fans. Valentino Rossi, one of the greatest riders to ever grace the sport, came within inches of losing his life in a terrifying crash. A moment that, had it turned out differently, could have reshaped not just the sport, but the very legacy of MotoGP itself. In a split second, the roar of engines and the blur of motion would have made any viewer's heart skip a beat. Three riders, racing at 200 miles per hour, on a narrow, unforgiving track. But what happened that day wasn't just another high-speed collision. It was a near-death experience that left the entire racing world holding its breath. Before we dive into that fateful crash, let's understand the man at the center of it all. Valentino Rossi, the Doctor. He is a legend, a name that transcends the sport of MotoGP. With 9 World Championship titles, 115 Grand Prix victories, and a career spanning over 2 decades, Rossi is one of the most iconic athletes in the world. His rivalry with riders like Max Biaggi, Jorge Lorenzo, and Marc Marquez became the stuff of legends. Rossi wasn't just a champion, he was a symbol of passion, determination, and skill. His unique style, charisma, and constant ability to challenge the boundaries of speed made him a global ambassador for the sport. But on that day in 2020, even Rossi was not immune to the dangers of motorcycle racing. It was the MotoGP race at the Styrian Grand Prix in Austria. The tension was palpable as the riders lined up on the grid. Valentino Rossi, already in his 40s but still at the top of his game, was racing on a Yamaha alongside his teammate Franco Morbidelli and Johann Zarco, a French rider on a Ducati. As the race began, things quickly took a dramatic turn. On lap 9, Rossi was caught up in a horrifying incident when Zarco and Morbidelli, both battling for position, collided. Zarco's Ducati was sent flying into the air, and for a brief moment, time seemed to stand still. In a moment that sent shivers down the spine of every viewer, Zarco's Ducati crashed, and the bike's rear tire, still spinning at an incredible speed, flew straight toward Rossi, who was helplessly watching the carnage unfold in front of him. The rear tire of Zarco's bike came within mere inches of hitting Rossi's helmet, while Morbidelli, also in the midst of the chaos, barely avoided the debris. The tire passed so close to Rossi's head that you could almost feel the air rush by. Had it struck him, the consequences could have been catastrophic. Valentino Rossi, the man who had survived countless crashes in his career, had narrowly avoided death. It was a reminder of just how fragile life is, even for the greatest. The aftermath of the crash was a sobering moment for everyone involved in MotoGP. Riders like Morbidelli and Zarco, shaken by the incident, expressed their relief that Rossi had survived. The race, which had been one of the most thrilling in recent years, was overshadowed by the sheer gravity of what could have been. But beyond the race, the crash reminded us all of the risks involved in MotoGP. For riders like Rossi, who had spent his entire life racing, it was a stark reminder of the fine line between glory and tragedy. If things had gone differently that day, MotoGP would have lost one of its most beloved figures, someone who had defined the sport for generations. Thankfully, Valentino Rossi walked away from that terrifying crash. The outcome could have been far worse, but his resilience, as always, shone through. He continued to race, though the incident served as a reminder of the fragility of life. It was a stark wake-up call for all involved in MotoGP, riders, teams, and fans alike. In the years that followed, Rossi would retire, but his impact on the sport would continue to be felt. The crash at the Styrian Grand Prix was a near miss, one of many in a career filled with peril. But it was also a testament to the dangers that come with the sport he loved, and the passion that drove him to defy the odds for so long. Valentino Rossi's career is one of triumph, tragedy, and resilience. The near-death crash of August 16, 2020, serves as a reminder of the fine line between victory and disaster. But it also serves as a tribute to the spirit of MotoGP, an unforgiving sport where every race could be your last. For Rossi, it wasn't just about the races he won, but the way he inspired millions to live their own lives with the same passion, dedication, and fearlessness.